The night is quiet over the small town of St. Louis, Saskatchewan. A cold wind moves across the open prairie, carrying with it the sound of rustling grass and the faint echo of something else, a low, humming vibration that seems to come from the earth itself. And then, out of the darkness it appears, a glow, faint at first, then growing brighter, white, then red, moving fast down the old abandoned rail line. Locals say it looks like a headlamp. Others swear it's a lantern, swinging wildly, as if carried by someone searching for something they'll never find. The light rushes forward, brightens to a blinding flash, and vanishes. No sound, no train, no explanation. This is the story of the ghost train of St. Louis, a phantom light that has haunted the old railway bridge for more than half a century, defying science, terrifying witnesses, and refusing to fade away. The legend begins in the early 1900s, when the Canadian National Railway still ran through this quiet prairie region. The St. Louis line was a lonely one, miles of track cutting through farmland and forest, connecting isolated towns under endless skies. Trains were a lifeline in those days. They brought mail, goods, and passengers to the middle of nowhere. But they also brought danger. Railways were unforgiving places, long, desolate stretches of steel, where one wrong step could mean death. And according to the old stories, that's exactly how this haunting began. One of the most common versions tells of a railway worker who was inspecting the tracks late one night. It was dark, foggy, and bitterly cold. He was carrying a lantern, walking the bridge, checking for ice, when he heard a sound behind him, the low rumble of a train. He turned and saw the headlight bearing down on him. He waved his lantern frantically, trying to signal the oncoming engine, but it was too late. The train struck him full force, sending his lantern flying into the night. The story goes that his head was severed from his body, and when his co-workers found him the next morning, the lantern was still burning, lying in the snow. From that night on, people began to see a strange light moving along the tracks, a swinging glow, as if a lantern were being carried by someone searching for something lost. They said it was the spirit of the railway worker, still looking for his head. Over the decades, the railway closed down and the tracks were torn up, but the light never stopped appearing. People from St. Louis, Prince Albert, and Saskatoon began making late-night drives out to the site just to see it. They'd park their cars at the edge of the old rail bed, shut off the engines, and wait. Sometimes, nothing would happen for an hour, but other times, it would come. A distant glow on the horizon, like a single star moving across the ground. Then brighter and brighter, sometimes splitting into two lights, one white, one red, like the front and back of a moving train. Then, just as suddenly, it would vanish. Witnesses said they could feel it before they saw it. A chill in the air, a strange vibration underfoot, as if the earth itself remembered what had once passed along that line. The phenomenon became so famous that locals began calling it simply the St. Louis Light. For some, it was an eerie thrill, a ghostly mystery to show off to visiting friends. For others, it was deeply unsettling. Something about it felt too deliberate, too alive. It didn't behave like car headlights or reflections. It seemed to move with purpose, as though following invisible tracks that no longer existed. Old-timers said it always appeared in the same place. The stretch where the railway bridge once stood before it was torn down. Even after the bridge was gone, the light still moved along that same path, stopping where the bridge used to be, then vanishing into thin air. It was as if the ghost train still followed its route, long after the living trains had stopped running. By the 1960s and 70s, the St. Louis Light was being reported by hundreds of people. Newspapers covered it. Skeptics and scientists visited to try to solve the mystery. Some said it was an optical illusion, a kind of mirage caused by the refraction of distant car headlights on the highway several miles away. Others pointed out that there were no highways directly aligned with the old rail bed, and no headlights could appear at that height or in that pattern. One team of physics students from the University of Saskatchewan conducted an experiment in the 1980s. They used maps, compasses, and telescopes to trace the line of sight between the old railway and the nearest highway. Their conclusion: the light was most likely refracted car beams, bent by the atmosphere in strange ways. Their report made headlines. For a moment, it seemed like the mystery was solved. But locals weren't convinced. As one old farmer told reporters, "I've seen that light since before there were cars on that road." You can't explain something that old with something that new. There were other theories. Some said it was ball lightning, a rare atmospheric electrical phenomenon. Others thought it might be earthquake lights, caused by friction deep in the ground along geological faults. But the light appeared too consistently for that. Clear nights, stormy nights, winter or summer. Always the same place, always the same movement. And there were details those theories couldn't explain, like how the light sometimes seemed to respond to people. Witnesses claimed that if you flashed your car headlights at it 3 times, the light would blink back. Others said they heard the sound of an approaching train, a faint whistle in the distance, just before it appeared. Some even reported seeing a shadowy figure walking ahead of the light, swinging a lantern. Over the years, the legend has become part of Saskatchewan's folklore, a story parents tell around campfires, a local rite of passage for anyone brave enough to drive out there at night. Some see it as a harmless curiosity, a reminder of the old railway days. Others see it as proof that the past doesn't always stay buried. Even now, with modern highways, cell towers, and artificial lights everywhere, the St. Louis light still appears. It's been captured on video, photographed, and witnessed by hundreds. No one has ever caught it, touched it, or found its source. It simply exists, moving along an invisible track, appearing when it chooses, disappearing when it's done. There's something deeply haunting about the story of the ghost train. It's not just a tale about a light in the dark. It's about memory, about the way certain places hold on to their past long after the world has moved on. The railway is gone. The workers are gone. The bridge is gone. But the energy remains, an imprint of motion, a ghost of the mechanical heartbeat that once echoed through those plains. Maybe it's the spirit of that railway worker, still walking the bridge, lantern in hand, searching for his lost head. Or maybe it's something else, a residual echo, a loop in time, playing over and over again for anyone who cares to stand still long enough to watch. If you go there tonight, you'll find yourself surrounded by emptiness, a flat horizon, a sky full of stars, and silence so deep you can hear your own breathing. The air feels heavy, like the night itself is waiting. You look down the old rail path. Just a gravel road now, cutting straight into the distance. And then you see it, a glow, faint and far away. You think it's a trick of your eyes, but it's not. It's moving, getting closer, the light growing whiter, brighter. It sways a little, like someone carrying a lantern searching the ground ahead. It flickers, then flares. You hold your breath. For one long, suspended moment, it feels like it's looking right at you. Then, it's gone. The night returns. Only the crickets remain. The ghost train of St. Louis has no schedule, no destination, no passengers, only the light, a restless echo replaying an event that never stopped happening. And maybe if you listen closely, you can still hear it. The distant rumble of an engine that hasn't existed for 100 years, and the lonely cry of a whistle cutting through the Saskatchewan night. This is the story of the ghost train of St. Louis. The phantom lights on the old railway bridge. A reminder that sometimes the past doesn't fade. It just keeps traveling through the dark.